just a second. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us to our Transitional Kindergarten Forum. My name is Susan Samarge Powell, and I'm the Director of Early Learning here in Santa Monica-Malibu Unified. And I thought I would give everyone just a bit of a freak out to say welcome to the class of 2037. That is correct. Your child will be graduating from high school in the year 2037. I always enjoy doing that just because it gives us a little bit of an idea of how short things are and how far away things can be and all the fun that's had in between. So this evening, I am very excited to share with you that our TK team, our transitional kindergarten team, has quite a bit of information that we'd like to provide for you. As I noted on our emails and in your RSVP forms, this is why we are in a webinar format. We asked you to ask all of your questions in advance so that we could really try and minimize the time you have to be on the screen with us, but give you as much information as possible. So there will very likely be things that you have asked that may not be addressed specifically here. If that is the case, it is very likely because that is something that is more site specific, and I'll address that at the end. But I just wanted to share with you, we try to encompass all of your thinking into our program for the evening. So tonight we're going to go through introductions. We're going to give you some of our philosophy about TK here in Santa Monica, Malibu. And then we're going to talk through really the idea of how to support your child being prepared and how we're doing our best to have ourselves ready for your child when they come to us. And then we'll talk a little bit about getting ourselves ready for life as it comes into us in the fall. And then we'll close out for the evening. So first, I'm really excited to share with you that we have an amazing, and when I say amazing, an amazing Santa Monica Malibu transitional kindergarten team. And I am thrilled to welcome Christine Manning to speak right now. Christine Manning is our early learning coach who supports not only our transitional kindergarten team, but our preschool team as well. And so she has a wide array of work that is done in our early learning. And then she is actually someone who works with our kindergarten, first and second grade teachers up as they do a lot of district work together. So Christine, I'm going to welcome you to join and share about the staff that we have with us this evening.
Hello, families, and welcome. As Susan shared, I have the pleasure of working with our amazing TK teachers weekly and collaborating around best practices and curriculum. And some of you might have seen me around campuses if you have a kiddo that attends one of our preschools. And I'm so excited to introduce our TK teachers tonight. And you can get to know some of their faces a little bit. So first we have Lindsay Newman, and she's our TK teacher at Edison. So she teaches the dual language immersion program. We have Holly Hodges, who is the TK teacher at Franklin. And then we'll also be getting a new TK classroom, a collaborative classroom at Franklin with a general ed teacher and a special education teacher who we are not sure who that is yet. We have Sophia Cedillo and Melissa Herman at Grant Elementary, Madeline Schwartz at McKinley. We have Liz Franchi at Roosevelt, Jackie Papel at Webster Elementary, and Amy Turner at Will Rogers. So I'm so happy to introduce everybody. And while not every member of our team is here tonight, we all work together on this presentation to make sure we provided as much information as we could for you all. And our TK team comes from tons of experience. We engage in ongoing professional development and training in various programs, as well as collaborate with each other regularly and share ideas to ensure the best for our early learners. So I'm excited for you to hear our presentation tonight.
And of course, I already made a mistake. So here we go. Sorry, Christine.
Oh, that's okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Holly Hodges, and I teach TK over at Franklin. And I want to share with you a little bit about our TK philosophy here in Santa Monica, Malibu. So you have probably either don't know much about our program or are very familiar with our program, depending on how many children you have. So I'm going to take you through sort of what we like to call our three-pronged approach to how we teach TK in our district. Our approach is Reggio inspired, it's STEAM enhanced, STEAM is an acronym, and standards aligned. And so let's just look at some big key areas of TK here in our district. So our program itself is unique because even though this is just one component you see on this slide, this encompasses our entire practice, that we are social constructivist based. We have a strong emphasis on language arts and STEAM experiences. And we use that social constructivist aspect in everything that we do with our children in our classrooms, especially when we plan our play workshops. Play workshop is a huge part of the learning that takes place in TK. You may have heard the term play-based learning before, but play workshop can look very different depending on our students' interests, needs, abilities, and skills. And not only is play workshop incredibly engaging, but this is how we start building a love for learning. When our students come to us and they're all 4 years old, play is a very easy entry into the learning that they'll do. It's a very easy entry into the socializing that they'll do. And so we use play workshop to build on those social and academic skills that they'll grow all throughout the year. Another huge component of TK in our district is what you see on here, SEL, which stands for social emotional learning. One of our biggest goals is to help our students develop critical skills like self-awareness, self-management, regulation, and relationship building. And so we work on that throughout the day, every day, for our entire year. We try to incorporate as much as we can social justice education and self-advocacy into our curriculum. We make sure that we have time every single day for mindfulness opportunities, so that students are able to build on that self-regulation skill that we talked about. We make sure that we get outdoors as much as we can because we believe that a student's connection with nature is really powerful. And we want to make sure that the learning that they do is rooted in real life experiences. And then as a team, one of the biggest things that makes our team really strong is that we have common assessment and documentation practices. So we can make sure that we're all aligned with each other and we know what our students are growing and working on so that we can build and adjust our instruction every day. So you may or may not be familiar with this term Reggio. I know that it's something that sometimes parents are really familiar with, depending on the preschool that your child attended. Sometimes this is a new concept. And so here in SMMUSD, we say that we are Reggio inspired. The Reggio Emilia approach to education began in Italy after World War II. And the belief of this approach is that children are competent and capable individuals who have a right to be active participants in their own learning. So we are not a fully Reggio program, but we're Reggio inspired. So we take these three components that you see on your screen and we incorporate these into our daily practice with your children. The image of the child is really important in the Reggio approach. And like we already said, it's how children are viewed. We don't view children as an empty vessel to be filled. We view children as a partner in learning with us. We're their facilitator and they help lead the learning for us. And so we see them as competent and skilled, and they come to us with many different things that we build upon as their teachers. The role of parents and families is huge in the Reggio approach. And while this is obviously something that we support in our K-12 education in our district, it starts really early in pre-K and TK. So we view you as essential partners in this process. We see that you are your child's first teacher. And so when you are sharing your child with us, we have so much to learn from you about how we can best support your child. And then the environment is a huge component of a Reggio space. This is something that people might see that looks very different because in a Reggio space, there are a lot of natural materials and colors. We invite the outside in with plants, flowers, other realia. We have low lighting, and we just respect that children can be trusted and should be around materials that they would find in their real life. So our classrooms are going to look very different to reflect that. Here's a quick video to show you a little bit what we mean when we say STEAM enhanced. STEAM is an acronym. It stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. And this is a quick little snippet from Ms. Schwartz's classroom. She's our McKinley TK teacher, and this is a project they did, so take a look.
There's a new bakery at McKinley Elementary School.
The Cookies Tea Cafe, and it's our pretend bakery opening, and it's part of a project-based learning unit that we've been working on for about 8 weeks on kitchen chemistry.
The little chefs threw on aprons and tested out some sweet recipes over the past weeks, all in the name of science, technology, engineering, and math.
It really encompasses so many academic disciplines.
What do cooking and STEM have in common? More than you might think.
English language arts, they're writing out the menus, they're learning vocabulary like mix, measure, microwave, decorate, words like that. In math, they're working on measuring, they're working on counting, they're working on sorting ingredients, so they're learning a lot of early math principles while doing this. In science, of course, they've been learning early principles of chemistry and learning about reactions, and in social science, they're learning how to work together as a team. They're learning about their community.
A bakery wouldn't be complete without a touch of branding.
I had the kids draw their version of the logo. I was able to use Photoshop to piece those parts together and make one cohesive logo that we put on labels and we have on all of our bags and cups, and it made like a real brand.
The little chefs rotated jobs.
Mixing. What do you like from our restaurant?
So they get to try out all of the different jobs.
Once the treats were prepared,
Order ready.
the bakery was in business.
Add chocolate. And whipped cream on top.
Teachers and staff lined up to place to-go orders.
So good.
Ross says teaching STEM at an early age will better prepare students for the future.
Can learn everything they need to learn through STEM. There's so many different experiences that they can have, and I just think that it's so important, and it really gets them ready for careers later in life, and I think that that can start as early as 4 years old.
So I hope you love that as much as we did. We love getting to just get a glimpse into those TK classrooms to see those projects that students are working on. This is just a breakdown of that STEAM acronym, and you could just take a glance at this slide and see where all of these different aspects of STEAM were in this project that Ms. Schwartz did, and she noted that in the video too. A huge part of how we approach learning in TK are through projects like this, and projects can come about through student interest, through community happenings that they hear about, through lots of different things. And so that's the beauty of TK, is we have the ability to be flexible with our children in our class, and we can explore and go really deep with these amazing projects, and they learn so much while they're doing it. And so just to wrap up my part, talking about our philosophy, I said that this was a three-pronged approach that we take in our district, with the last being that we are standards aligned. I know that a lot of you had questions about the actual curriculum and academics that your children will be working on. And I hope that you can start to see now how we approach that learning and everything that we do with our TK students, whether it is a bakery project or something we're working on in my class right now, an animal play that we're going to be putting on soon where we're studying animals. Everything's aligned to standards that they will be working on once they enter kindergarten and continue on through 12th grade. So it might just look a little different in TK because honestly, it's a lot more fun, but it's definitely standards aligned, and it's going to support their growth in the years to come.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Miss Papale, Jacqueline Papale, and I'm the TK teacher at Webster School. I'm going to be presenting environment to you. So in a Reggio-inspired TK, the environment is very essential. As Hallie mentioned, it's considered the third teacher, first the parents, second a child's teacher, and third the classroom environment. You'll notice warm colors, wood, lots of natural items. Here are some images from my classroom. However, each of our TK environments will vary depending upon children's interests. In this slide, you'll notice a large nest collection. Many are child gathered from birds that left them behind. Throughout the classroom, there'll be lots of displays called provocations, which encourage or provoke exploration and discovery. The provocations are often accompanied with an inquiry question, such as, whose nest, or how many eggs do you see? In this slide, here are more provocations, including tiny perfect things and a smattering of natural materials children have collected to display proudly and discuss in the classroom, helping to build a vast vocabulary. Peg dolls were painted also and created by the children to encourage emergent storytelling and writing. In the third image, you'll see Lunar New Year items to pull in children's family and identity, and an understanding of how are we alike, how are we different, let's celebrate. There are often live plants and flowers in a Reggio-inspired classroom to promote a connection to the natural world. And throughout the Reggio-inspired classroom, there might be soft spaces to encourage exploring books, rest and quiet time if needed, purposeful play, and emergent storytelling and writing. There are purposeful play areas such as the kitchen, dollhouse, ramp wall, building block area, train set, light table, and art studio or atelier. These centers help build social emotional learning, such as sharing and learning how to invite others to engage in play, and mathematical skills such as counting, shape naming, measuring, and one-to-one correspondence. You might see self-portraits to explore a child's identity, family, and home life, and to help discover their interests. A big piece of our TK is documentation, discussing child-led interests such as spirals, and documenting what a child might notice and wonder about them. Loose parts are often an essential learning tool. These are collections of small items such as pine cones, pebbles, sticks, which little hands can manipulate into letters, numbers, collages. The possibilities are limitless. Here you see a number line in alphabet, which we create seasonally. And many of the items are collected by children on walks at home, so they develop a personal connection with the items. We utilize outdoor spaces often for collaborating, social emotional learning, and most importantly, fun and play. Here we're working on a light project with photosensitive paper and fabric, dancing like Martha Graham and Alvin Ailey for Black and Women's History Months, building ramps and structures together, water play, and creating nature art collaboratively. A garden is an amazing learning place. Every discipline can be tied into the garden. Counting and measuring, science, vocabulary building, sharing, caretaking, such as watering the plants, harvesting, cooking. We counted and roasted fava beans this year, and the possibilities are so engaging and endless. To recap, there's often a focus on project-based learning, experiential learning, meaning hands-on, driven by child-led interests, with provocations and activities set up around the classroom to provoke deep inquiry-based conversations and thinking, and mainly to foster joy and a love of learning. Thank you for taking a peek into my classroom. The TK team looks forward to seeing you soon and sending so much love to everyone. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to go over a little bit the TK goals that we keep in mind throughout the year and we embed within our content areas. And those are agency, identity, independence, and confidence. And I'll go over agency and identity with you a little bit, and then Liz Franchi will go over confidence and the Confidence and independence. Thank you, Susan. So for agency and identity, we've listed some examples about how we use these components in literacy and numeracy. So for example, children will show agency by developing different tastes and preferences in books. So whether there's a topic that they're interested in and they go to their local library to look for a book about it, or they're interested in certain book types in the classroom, this is really giving your children the power to choose what they'd like to read. And then for identity, the realization that reading can change you. We look for books that are both windows and mirrors in a children's lives. So windows might give a glimpse at another culture or experience, while mirrors can reflect an experience that your child is having. And then for numeracy, agency could look like finding math opportunities in everyday life. So that could be cooking at home, counting items around the classroom. And then for identity, exploring the environment around us as mathematicians. So really looking through that mathematician lens. An example could be a child noticing, I'm the 5th person to come to the rug today. So having that math identity. And ways to support this could be reading to build vocabulary, asking questions to encourage elaboration, and encouraging mathematical thinking in daily tasks.
Okay, I'm on. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to talk to you about the ways that we work together to foster independence. So as you know, TK is sort of a big transition from coming from a preschool, if your child's in preschool, or maybe your child this is their first school experience. So there is a lot that we do to help support and work with the families to help build this independence. So I just picked some of the big things that come up a lot. And I'm going to talk to you about how we're going to work with you to help your child. So the first one that comes up a lot is eating. So in preschool or at home, adults are there to really help cut food for kids, open their packages for them. In TK, we help them learn how to do that themselves. So if they come in already knowing that, great. If not, that's part of our work. So it's helpful to think about those sorts of things when they're moving to TK, that there's less adults. There's 1 adult for every 12 students. So monitoring, like, how much am I eating, those sorts of things. I know a lot of people are coming from preschools where they're monitored, and just letting you know at TK, they're not, but we are going to work with you to make sure your kid is fed enough, to make sure if they need to have a little more of a after school snack. All of the TK teachers will make a plan with you to make sure that your child is getting enough food, but it is something that happens when they come to this new environment. They're eating at picnic tables. It's a little bit different maybe than their more intimate preschool setting. So there is some learning curve there. And so we just wanted to let people know that all of your TK teachers are going to work with you to help navigate that. So there are new experiences, the cafeteria, trying new foods. And these are really big, important things for being independent, for turning 5 or being an older 4-year-old, knowing how to do those things for themselves. As you know, autonomy is a major focus of our work and of their development at this age. So again, things that you could do as you're thinking about getting ready is have them help you now, start opening packages, showing them some of those tricks, pinch and pull, tear, how do I use scissors to cut things open, or getting them familiar with the packages that you're planning, the lunchbox that you're planning to use, so that they can feel really confident and comfortable when it comes time to eating. And I think also that there's a balance of experience of new foods if they're eating in the cafeteria, and at snack, maybe some familiar foods. And like I said, we're going to work with you to help your kids make sure they're getting everything they need. The other piece that's important for independence is dressing. So as you know, dressing themselves, accidents happen. They're going to happen in TK, and also learning is messy. We paint a lot. You saw all of that beautiful work that Jackie shared. Well, there's some mess behind that. You know, there's clay and glue and all sorts of fun to be had, but you got to get messy sometimes in TK. So we always have parents bring extra clothes for their kids, and each classroom manages that different, whether it stays in the backpack or a cubby, and you'll definitely get more information about that. But kids can feel really confident when they're able to change themselves. And so that also leads into the next big independence area of toileting. So in TK, depending on your site, not all of the classrooms have the bathrooms in the classroom, which means that children are going to the bathroom without adults. So being able to clean themselves properly and getting dressed is an important thing to move into TK. And again, if don't freak out, we are going to work with you. We are here as partners with you to help kids get to that. But that is something that I think is important for teachers to know, that not all of the classrooms have bathrooms right there. So kids might be leaving that space. So if you can help them being able to get dressed by themselves, or working on cleaning themselves. And again, accidents happen. Adults are here. Your kid's not going to totally be on their own. It's working together to help build that. And the last piece is the caring for materials. So there are things that I think you can do to help your kid come in feeling confident. Am I comfortable using scissors? Not that I have to hold them properly at this point, but have I held scissors? Have I held books? Have I held utensils? If your child's coming from a preschool experience, most likely yes. If they're coming from a home experience, it might be something to think about adding into their play routine at home. Do I have a job, or do I contribute? So this is something that looks different in every classroom, but we really want kids to feel like they're part of the class. It's a community, they contribute. So that might be a job that they do, in the more traditional sense, like you're in charge of turning the lights on and off. Or in my classroom, it kind of always comes up organically. There's certain things kids like to do. For example, I have a kid this year who in the beginning of the school year really liked when we were done with something, turning it over, and he became our schedule monitor for the year. So he now likes to be in charge of the schedule, let us know. So when kids are saying what's next, we say, oh, you can ask, our schedule monitor. So that's something that it will help them feel independent at home as well. Do I have a job? It's my job to put this in my backpack, or when I'm getting ready for school, it's going to be your job to pick out the snack and put it in your lunchbox the night before. So just thinking about some of these things now as kids are transitioning into a larger space would help them. And then how do I bring closure to an activity? So in TK, the way that we usually do that is we clean up, we put our things back, there's different routines. And I think that's something that can be happening at home as well. And I think closure for caring for materials, what do I do when I'm done with them? Whether it's they're putting in a basket, or is there a shelf that they're expected to put things away? So I know that children are coming from a variety of experiences, but starting to think about that now, helping them to feel like they have autonomy in the materials that they're using, by they know what to do when they're done with them. And and so it's surprising how parents will come in and say, I can't believe that your class is this clean. I can't believe, and that the kids just clean it up like that in 5 minutes. But I think kids really feel I also have the luxury of peer pressure that I know you don't always have at home. It doesn't quite work as well with siblings, but having kids know that how they care for things, and that how they put their toys away and how they contribute is important at home, will transfer at school too, and help build that independence and also confidence, which I'll talk more about in the next slide, I think. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Susan. So as much as we're going to work together to build their independence, also we want them to feel confident. So I think of those two things, they kind of go hand in hand. So the reason we want them to be independent is because we want them to feel confident about themselves. So the two main areas where I was thinking about in TK, how we support transitions. Again, all of your teachers, we're going to work with you to support kids in these transitions. So preparing for the goodbye and the reunion is something that maybe not now, it's a little early now, but as we get closer to school, preparing for what that's going to look like. I'm going to walk you to the gate. And when we get to the gate, I'm going to give you the biggest hug. And then, so just telling them the story of how that goodbye is going to go and how the reunion is going to go. When I pick you up, I'm going to bring your stuffy in my purse, or when I pick you up, I'm going to have a granola bar in the bag for you. So just having your own routines with them, and teachers can work with you, can really help with that transition. And again, I always tell my families this, it's so hard because you leave, and sometimes when you leave, they're crying, and then a minute later they're in and they're engaged, and you don't always get to see the other side of that. But teachers will work with you, and we will help you with this big transition if your child needs it. Many kids don't. Many kids, after having their first day, they're like, this is a fun place to be. Can't wait to see you later. So again, routines and predictability kind of goes back to what I was talking about before. If you're telling your child, like, it's going to be your job to wear your bag in the school, do you remember what's your job? And it's my job to hold your hand, whatever your own unique routine for your family is. So, and then the other important part of sharing of the transitions is sharing your feelings about the change. So it's going to be hard. I'm going to miss our old school, but I'm also excited that we're going to make new friends. And so I think it's important to both validate that it can be scary. Yeah, it is scary going to a new class, but I'm also really excited about those blocks. Do you remember seeing those on our meet and greet? So I think just having that appropriate balance of validating that change is hard and that it can be scary and sad. And sometimes it's not just for the kids, right? It can be scary for you switching schools too. So also I encourage you to lean on each other, lean on your other parent friends, and think about things you're excited about too, because the more that you help kids know that it's okay to feel nervous, and also help them know that there's positive things that are coming, it will help that transition go more smoothly. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is problem solving with peers. So in TK, they are they're still young children. And so there's a lot of support that the teacher is going to give and work with you. And I just, it looks a little different in an elementary school, because traditionally in an elementary school, there's certain, behavior consequence mindset. And in TK, we really work with kids to work through things. So not that behaviors are without consequence, but we understand that kids are coming in and need extra support. So these are some quotes that I have found really resonate with me, that have confidence in a child's ability to survive conflict, loss, and imperfection. So in our class, we want kids to have spaces where they struggle, because it's a safe place where we can help them work through that. And so at school, there are opportunities where, we only have one of this special toy. How do we share it? And I'm sure you see these things at home, but so problems come up with peers, and it's an opportunity for us to help them feel confident that they can work through that. And then there's also, so I said, yes, it's an opportunity to build intimacy and connection and self-regulation. And so it's interesting, even today with my students, we were playing a game and not everyone got a turn. And when the game ended, I noticed that no one said anything. They were ready to move on. And I noted that to them, because in the beginning of the school year, I would always have someone cry or, oh, I didn't get a turn. And so they really have learned throughout the year how to regulate those feelings and how to ask for, can we play this again? I was disappointed. And so, and knowing that trust of the group that we will make sure everyone feels safe. So just again, our motto in TK is that there's empowerment through working together, not compliance. So I just want you, a lot of times parents worry about their kids coming to TK, fighting with siblings or fighting with peers, but we are ready and prepared to work with you and help these kids feel safe and confident. And yeah, so they go hand in hand.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm Lindsay Newman. I'm the TK teacher at Edison. And I'm also a parent in Santa Monica-Malibu Unified. I have 2 kids at Edison, and my 3rd is coming next year. So I have 1 year where they're all at the same school, which is going to be amazing. But I'm going to talk to you today about the schedule. And this is the kind of thing that at back to school night, your child's teacher will really get more in depth, but this is a general schedule. We all do very similar routines and methods in the class. Again, we talked a little bit about the ratio. So we have 1 lead teacher and then 1 instructional assistant. So it's a 1 to 12 student teacher, or rather teacher student ratio. So we all usually start with some sort of morning meeting, and this is a way to get the kids excited about school. It also helps build community. And again, every teacher does it a little bit differently, but usually there's some sort of greeting. Some teachers use a song or a game. And then sometimes this is an opportunity for the kids to share something about their day or do some sort of activity. And it can be anything really, but it's a way to build community and get the kids comfortable around the classroom. It also helps them learn information about each other, and you learn information about them and what they like and what they're excited about for the day. After that, we usually do some sort of play workshop, and play workshop is a time where there are different parts of the room that are set up depending on what the inquiry is. And the children have a chance to sort of explore and engage in these areas with their peers. In some rooms, they might be assigned, but I think by the end of the year, most of the time they're choosing different places that they can go based on their interest. And then there's a language arts component to all of our programs. So it might be a shared reading, it might be some sort of writing or drawing activity, but we always do something like that in the morning block. We'll have snack and outdoor recess outside. So again, this is the kind of thing your teacher will go over, but I always recommend that if the kids can, bring a water bottle and bring a snack. And then of course, if they're getting cafeteria lunch or something, we'll arrange that for them. But it's definitely important to have a water bottle, and then they get to run around and play and engage and move their bodies and practice their gross motor skills. After that, a read aloud, and then after that, you might have a whole group learning experience that it varies depending on what you're studying. It could be science, math, art, some sort of English language or Spanish language development experience that you're working on. And then that's really the morning, and then you'll have lunch. And so after lunch, they're pretty tired. I don't know, teachers, if you agree with me, but I think that after lunch, they've been working really hard in the morning, and then we tend to do some sort of mindfulness. It could be yoga. It could be teaching them different breathing techniques. It could be a more structured sort of social emotional learning curriculum or kind of experience like that, practicing a social skill. And then whatever kind of calms them down. It could also be reading a book. And then there's a closing circle. And then interwoven throughout the week, we all have different special classes at our sites. So art, music, and library are some examples of something your child might go to once a week. At Edison, we have a theater class that they do for part of the year. So it just varies depending on site. But this is a really good example of what a sample schedule could look like for them. And then the other important thing are forms of communication. So most teachers send some sort of classroom news or email or letter home. to let you know what's going on in the classroom. And these are, I think, really important. And I know that as a parent, you get so much information. You're getting information from the PTA, from the school. And then if you have kids at multiple schools, it can really be a lot. So we try to give you a snapshot of what's going on in the classroom to spark conversation at home. So if we're doing a unit on animals, that's what Ms. Hodges said she was doing, you know, she might give you that information, and then you can also sort of use it at home, because sometimes they come home and they really don't remember what they learned that day, because it's a long day and they're a little bit young, but sometimes they do remember. And so it can spark conversation. It also helps you know what the important events are at school. If there's a pajama day, if there's some sort of shared event that the classroom is doing, this is kind of the time when all of that gets communicated. If there's a field trip, etc. Another thing that some of us use is called Seesaw or other digital platforms. And basically, these are just apps that you would have on your phone, where in Seesaw, for example, we send either videos or photos of what your child is doing in the classroom. And that really, really connects you to what's going on. You know, parents don't come in the classroom so much, depending on whether or not they've been able to volunteer or they're working. So we try to do something like that so that you have a really big picture of what they're doing and what your child's doing in the room. We also have conferences, parent-teacher conferences in the fall, usually at the beginning of November. And that's an opportunity. Well, we will show you kind of how your child is progressing, what they've been learning, their strengths, how they're engaging in the classroom. And we also have common assessments that we all do to see how they're progressing in math and language arts. And then, of course, you can always schedule a meeting. So, you know, it happens, you really feel like you need to talk about something, and you can do it on Zoom, you can do it in person. If you're able to meet after school, you know, we work with you on scheduling meetings as needed. And then every school, of course, has special events. Back to school night is a really important event. I recommend highly that if you can go to that, definitely go, because all the things we've been talking about, you'll be able to see in the space where your kid is every day, and you will get information firsthand from your child's teacher. Open house is sort of the bookend event, which we have in the spring at the end of the year, where you get to see all the progress that they've made that year. So those are the basic forms of communication in TK.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Liz Franchi spoke quite in depth about the types of things that you can be doing with your child to kind of be considerate of what's going to be occurring in TK. But what we wanted to make sure you knew is that there are lots of ways in which families can be working with their children to be prepared for transitional kindergarten. And it really isn't anything having to do with trying to make sure someone is ready for something. Really, it's just about giving them opportunities and interacting with them. So one of the biggest things that we would recommend at this point is that you are reading with your child on a regular basis. That means daily, if not more. And that we would really encourage them, as Christine had shared earlier, be the people who pick out the books. They can own what they are interested in. And with you, they'll get a chance to really kind of shine through that. We encourage play. Play is what you can see we do. Play is work for transitional kindergarten. That is their job. And so help them with their job, you know, talking about things, acting things out, writing with stories. And story writing is picture writing, drawing together. All of those are opportunities to help your children just really encourage that play. And then there's always opportunities for early math through everyday tasks. Can you go find me 2 pencils? Can we count how many stuffed animals we have on the bed? I see 3 boxes of cereal. Now I see 2. I took 1 away. Those are very easy things to be doing with your children that don't mean you have to be doing anything more than your regular routine. And then obviously, one of the big things we talk about is problem solving and conflict resolution. That's going to be something, as I think it was actually really lovely, Liz said, you know, we have the added, benefit of having peer pressure in the classroom space, but it is something to always be talking with your children about what happens when I'm upset about something. Talking it through makes a huge difference. And so actually something we did want to share with you that will be coming to your school site soon and is online, and I will get that website out for everyone, excuse me, to the emails that you all sent me, is something called Building Blocks for Kindergarten. And this is something the city of Santa Monica had developed a while back, but is a wonderful resource actually, so for transitional kindergarten as well, because what it does inside is it really talks through the different domains and areas of growth for children. And when it gives you that information, it also gives you things like, what could I be doing with my child? And so each of these pages have different content areas. And you can see, so for this one is social and emotional development. And in there, what you can see is, I understand my child is ready and developing when they can do these kinds of things. What can I be doing as a family to support them in that growth? So we will get you that website, but you also will have hard copy books from the school site soon. And so that's something that can kind of just really help you during the summertime as you think about what are the things I'm trying to do to be ready for school. We'll be doing our part, but if that's something that was of interest to you, we hope that that is, something that will kind of be a helpful tool. And then the question mark up here is because we know there are some questions that people ask that we may not have answered in this particular webinar. First of all, there's always another question after we give information until we understand that. But the reality is we won't answer all of your questions. We tried to answer the biggest ones that we thought were most relevant for you understanding what we're doing in transitional kindergarten. That isn't to say that there isn't more to learn, and that'll be a process with everyone throughout the rest of the school year, actually when the school year starts for your children. But we did want to make sure that we gave you the big picture items. There was something that we wanted to address, and that is a couple of families really asked about safety. And while we didn't put something in here about the particulars of safety at school sites, we did want to make sure families understood safety of our children comes first and foremost. We can't be in a learning environment if we don't feel safe. So every school site has a site safety plan. You can actually find them on their school websites and in our district website. Every school has plans in place to support your children. Every school has the Raptor system, where we identify people who walk onto campus, and they are identified with badges so that they can get through the schools. Every school has an opportunity for children to practice drills to support them with earthquake, fire, and lockdown. And while those are things we don't ever want to have to talk about, we also know, as we talked about earlier, when we talk things through with our children and we give them information, it helps them feel most secure that they're doing what they can be doing to take care of themselves. So you should know that site safety is something that is extremely important to all of us, but the specifics will occur at your school sites. Every school site is different, so information will come to you through them, which leads me to a lot of questions that didn't get answered from you. There were a lot of questions that were asked in the RSVP form, but they were very site specific. So please know you will get that information from the schools. Almost every school will do some form of a welcome event. If you haven't heard about it yet, you're welcome to call the school sites and say, do you do a picnic or is there a meeting? Almost everyone does something before school starts. In addition, as Lindsay shared with you, every school site does do a back to school night. It is important to attend. Make sure that someone from your family is there, because there's a lot of information that is provided by the school that will help you kind of get the layout of what's happening. And then those site specific questions, if they are burning in you right now, it's okay to call the school. I know that you would probably love to talk to all of our teachers on here right now. I'm going to say, as an administrator, and I used to do this at my school, I'm going to be the bad guy and say, I'm asking you not to contact them individually right now. While they would love to talk with you, and they will be talking with you when the school year starts, they're actually closing out this school year with their current TK students. So I'm going to ask you, if you have burning questions that cannot wait until the end of August, go ahead and call the school sites and check in with them if that's something that you have to know right now. But I'm going to ask you to hold on connecting with the teachers right now, because they're really working with their current students to make sure that they finish off the school year in a wonderful and warm environment. And our last slide is simply something that our teachers did at the beginning of this year, and it's called the TK Heart Map. And the teachers were asked to simply write on a page what it was that they thought about for transitional kindergarten that was important for people to know. And in this, it was so evident to me, and I hope so evident to all of you, that there is a love of your children and of learning and of transitional kindergarten in this group of teachers. They are stellar. Any classroom you are entered into will be a joyous experience for your children. And if there are concerns, your teachers will work with you. They are a group of people who love to work together, and they love to work with people to ensure that the students get the best of everything as much as possible. And so we hope tonight has given you an opportunity to really understand a little bit more about what transitional kindergarten looks like in Santa Monica, Malibu. Are we the same as other school districts? No, we are Santa Monica, Malibu. And for that, we are very proud. And we are very excited to have your children joining us in the very near future. We hope you have a wonderful summer. Take time to play together. And we look forward to enjoying a wonderful start in August when we come back together. And we would like to say to all of you, thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you have a wonderful evening, and we will see you soon. Thank you.